Hi guys, my name is Erica Virgo and welcome to another See You at School video for our virtual program. April is Financial Literacy Month, and so we're going to be talking about Money 101. Just letting you know the important things you need to know about money, finance, and just giving you that heads up as you prepare for your financial future. So I try to make these videos quick. Let's go ahead and get right to it. So the first thing you should do is identify your starting point. Identify where you are starting out financially. Either you have a job, and if you do have a job, know how much you're earning every month. Or if you don't have a job, start thinking of ways that you can earn money. Get creative with this. See if there's any ways you can turn those hobbies and those things you enjoy into profit, into a financial, job for you. So don't be afraid to get creative. Money management. When you think about that phrase, what should come to mind is how you handle all aspects of your finances. This means you're saving and spending successfully. You're using your savings account to actually save, you're not pulling money out of it all the time, and you're using your checking account for everyday transactions. You're also tracking your finances in some kind of way, whether that be pen and paper or an app, but you know where your money is going. And lastly, you're having savings goals. So you have an idea of how much you want to save or what you're saving towards, and you're actually making strides to get there. You're not just talking about it, you're doing it. So what is a savings account? I'm sure we know, but let's just go over it. The account where you make deposits with the intent of keeping that money there. So the whole point of a savings account is to actually save money. If you're pulling money from it all the time, it's not really a savings account. Savings is I want to keep that money there and watch it grow. Savings accounts typically have higher interest rates. So when you have money in there, it grows by itself over time from the bank. And savings accounts typically have withdrawal restrictions, which means they're trying to help you not pull out money all the time. So after you pull out a certain amount of money, a certain amount of times, you're going to either have a fee or some type of restriction that says you can't pull out anymore for this month. You've already pulled out the max. And most times it's like 5 or 6 times. So if you pull from your savings account more than 6 times at most banks and credit unions, there will be some type of restriction on there. Because, as we said, the whole point of a savings account is to actually save. A checking account, on the other hand, you can pull from as much as you want. This is the account where you do your everyday spending. Money from this account is linked to your debit card, so that's where all the money on your debit card comes from. And as I said, checking accounts don't have any withdrawal restrictions because that's your spending account. This is usually the main card you'd also use at the ATM, just so you know. So some money management tips. How can we become smarter with our money and handle it better? Know your wants versus needs and stick to them. So know the difference between something that you have to have and that's something that you might just want and don't really need at the time. And be able to have that responsibility to say, hey, I really don't need this $100 outfit right now, or I don't really need this new Xbox controller right now. My controller works fine. Let me just chill out and maybe put that money towards something else. Knowing the difference between wants and needs will help you save and handle your money a lot better. Space out personal purchases. So there's nothing wrong with using your money to treat yourself every now and then, but don't do it all the time where all of your money is just going towards material things or those personal purchases that maybe you could have waited or put it towards saving or something more important. So space those out. Maybe you treat yourself every other time you get paid and not every single time. Find out what works best for you. Create a budget and stick to it. We're going to talk quickly about budgeting, but it's super important to know where your money's going and to give your money a job instead of just spending it and seeing where it goes at the end. Understanding that saving matters. A little adds up over time. Even if you only save $5 to $10 every time you get paid, that does add up. So always have something in mind when you get some money in of what you're going to save. So budgeting, we just mentioned that briefly. Let's go over it real quick. Some good budgeting advice. Have categories for each part of your budget. So how much you plan on spending for gas, how much you plan on spending for entertainment, etc. And having a time frame. So have a budget for each time you get paid where that money is going. Many people start budgeting using what's called the 50-30-20 plan. And this is just a quick, easy way for you to start out budgeting if you never have before or if you don't have a solid plan. This means using your paycheck for 50% of the essentials, the things you have to have, gas for your car to get to work or whatever that may be, things like that. Using 20% of your paycheck as savings, putting it away, not touching it. And then using 30% of what's left for your personal things that you might want to buy for yourself. So quick, easy example, if you get $200 for your paycheck, you're putting $100 toward those things you need, those essentials. You're putting $40 away in savings, and you're putting $60 or using $60 for things you might want personally. So some quick apps that we've found to be really helpful, especially since everything's on our phones nowadays, that are all about budgeting and help keep you on track with your budget in an easier way if you're not a pen and paper type person. Maybe you are more of a tech person and it works best for you. These are just some apps that we found have worked really well. So there's Mint. Mint will directly sync with your bank account. They have budget creation sheets so they can kind of create the budget for you. They do credit score tracking, which will matter once you turn 18 and start establishing credit. And they'll give you money alerts if you're getting too close to spending beyond your budgeted amount of money for a certain category. Another great app, YNAB, You Need a Budget. They do the kind of the same thing, budget creation. They'll help you set goals. It syncs with your bank account as well. And they give you reporting on what you've actually spent so that you can improve your budget each month. Another great app to use. And then another one is Money Strands. If you're more of a private person, you don't want the app to link to your bank account directly, you can use Money Strands. You just might have to do a little more work when it comes to putting in how much you've actually spent and being honest about that. But Money Strands is great too. You don't have to link your bank account and it does the same things. It gives you budget creation ideas, savings goals. It tells you if what you're trying to spend is okay and it's in your budget. And it's got a good amount of features as well. So those are just some apps you can use to really get into budgeting and help manage your money better. So now we're going to quickly talk about credit. What is credit? Well, first, there are two types of credit. There's secured, which is funded by you, and unsecured, which doesn't require funding. Unsecured is the more popular type of credit where you'll just get a card in the mail. The credit or the bank will tell you, hey, you've got $2,000 on this limit, $2,000 limit. This is how much you can spend. Here you go. A secured credit card is a credit card that is backed up by what you have in your savings account. So let's say they say, okay, we'll give you this credit card. You have $500 in your savings account. Your credit card limit is going to be $500 because if you mess up, we can take what we need to take. So like I said, unsecured is the more popular type of credit card, but secured is also good too, and it teaches you responsibility as well. But let's look at the definition of credit. The ability of a customer to obtain goods or services before payment, based on the trust that payment will be made in the future. So what does this mean? Long story short, credit is borrowed money that you vow to pay back with interest. So credit is not free money. When you get that first credit card, maybe when you turn 18 or 19, and they say, okay, you've got $2,000 on here to spend, that doesn't mean it's just free. It is borrowed. Anytime you swipe that credit card for something, you're saying that you're going to pay back what you swiped for and the interest on that card. So it's always important to remember that it's borrowed money. So how does credit work? A quick example. If you get a credit card in the mail with a $1,000 limit, these are some of the rules. $1,000 is the most that you can spend. So you cannot spend more than $1,000 or you will, mess up that card. Whatever you spend, you have to pay back that amount plus the interest rate on the card, just like we said. If you swipe it for a $100 pair of Nikes, Okay, you will have to pay that $100 back, but you will also have to pay back whatever the interest rate is on that credit card. The interest is usually placed on the balance monthly. So every month, if you have a balance on that credit card, you're going to be paying a little bit of interest, or interest is going to be added onto that balance. And payments must be made monthly, and you must pay the minimum amount requested. So when you log into your account for that credit card, it's going to tell you this is how much you owe. Let's say it's $200. Then they'll say, okay, this is the minimum that you have to pay this month. Let's say they say it's $30. And then they'll say it needs to be paid by this date. And you have to adhere to that. You have to do that. And if you do not, there will be consequences to your credit score, which we're going to talk about. Credit score. A credit report is a report card for your credit habits. So when you get that number, once you start establishing credit at 18 and up, you're going to have a number associated with how responsible you are with your credit, and that is your credit score. You can get a credit report for free every year at annualcreditreport.com. And that just kind of helps you see what credit cards you have open, what accounts you have, etc. But it's important to be financially responsible with your credit, because you need a good credit score in the future to get reasonable loans and to have a lower interest rate on loans in the future, which is going to matter so much. So that's why it's important. I just wanted to briefly talk about credit, because it's important for you guys to understand that before you turn 18 and all these credit card banks and companies are trying to come at you saying, get this card, get this card. You need to kind of understand how it works, and that you have to be responsible with it, because that credit score stays with you from the moment you open your first credit card on out. So this is the credit score range. It goes all the way from bad to excellent. And based on each category, you can see the numbers here. So, they consider bad credit 300 to 549, poor 550 to 649, fair 650 to 699, and then you've got good and excellent, which is 700 and up. So you want to aim to be in the good and excellent credit score areas. There are a lot of ways to lose credit points on your credit score, and these are just some of them. So if you max out a card, if your limit's $1,000 and you're right at $1,000, you've maxed it out, you're going to drop, your credit score points are going to drop between 10 and 45. If you're 30 days late on a payment, so you didn't make the payment this month, 60 to 110 points off your credit score. If you have to do a debt settlement, which means, hey, I have no more money, I can't pay this at all, and you have to call a company and do a settlement where they say, okay, just give us $10 and we'll cancel it. Yeah, they'll help you cancel it, but you still have to pay for that on your credit score. That can be anywhere from 45 to 125 points. Foreclosure in the future, if you have to foreclose on a home, 85 to 160 points off your score. And then bankruptcy. God forbid you have to file for bankruptcy one day. That hits your score hard, 130 to 240 points off it. So why do these numbers matter? Why does a credit score matter so much? A perfect example is, like we said in the previous slide, it helps you get a better deal on loans if you have a better score, and banks see you as more of a responsible lender. So this chart is a great example of that. It shows the credit scores here on the left-hand side. In the middle, it shows what interest rate the bank is giving that person because of their credit score. And then the right side is showing the monthly payment that they're having to pay based off of the loan. So this is for a house, let's just say, for example, the person is borrowing $250,000 over 30 years. The bank says, okay, at the first category, you've got a 740 or higher, you've got a really good score. We're going to give you 5% interest, so a lower interest rate, and your monthly payment's going to be $1,300, as you can see on there, $1,342. Someone who has 100 points less of a credit score, 640, the bank is saying, okay, you're in the middle. Okay, we'll give you an 8% interest rate. You're paying $1,800. So already, just because your scores are different by those 100 points, you're paying a difference of $500 pretty much every single month because of the difference of credit scores. If you take that for the entirety of the loan, that's $177,000 extra that that person with 100 points less of a credit score is paying. So credit scores definitely matter. It helps you in the future when it's time to get a loan for your first car, or in the way future in your first house, all of those things. Credit scores matter, and it's so important to be responsible with your credit cards when you get them. So some ways that you can establish good credit: small buys and quick paybacks. Long story short, don't spend a whole lot of money on your credit card. Use it to show that you're a responsible lender. Maybe swipe it for lunch one day, $20, and pay it right back. You know, the better you handle your credit at an early age, the better it's going to be and the higher your score will be. Keep your credit spending low. Whatever the minimum requirement is that they tell you to pay a little bit more just to show that you're responsible. And most importantly, use but don't abuse, because use credit is debt. Credit is debt. When you get a credit card, it's really a debt card. So don't abuse it or overspend on that. So quickly, a little bit about Brightstar and how, as a credit union, we differ from the big banks. We differ in objective. Banks aim to max out their customers. Credit unions market and emphasize service. So we love to be all about you guys and how to best serve you and give you the products that you actually need, instead of trying to, when you come in the bank, we're trying to give you everything you can possibly get so that our profits will go up. No, credit unions are about service. Operations. Banks need to maximize profits off their customers because they have to pay shareholders. Credit unions don't have this pressure, and we're known as what's called not-for-profit. This means that what we earn as a credit union, after we pay off our expenses, we're able to give that back to the members. And this can be in the form of you getting more savings, less fees on loans, things like that. So we are different in the way that we operate. And lastly, we're different in ownership. Banks are owned by those shareholders that they have to pay. Credit unions are owned by members. So anybody that has an account with us at a credit union is a member owner, and we all work together to provide the best credit union service we can for you guys. So when the time comes to look into getting a loan or that first credit card once you turn 18, always check with your credit union first, because you will end up saving a lot more money. That's usually, like I said, with lower interest rates on credit cards and loans than you would get at a big bank. And no minimum balances or monthly fees on our checking or savings accounts, which, yes, right now you're not necessarily getting loans or credit cards, but you can definitely get checking and savings accounts and take advantage of not having to worry about having a certain balance in there all the time or dealing with those monthly fees. So some things that Brightstar can offer you guys: savings and checking accounts. As we said, there's no money needed to open the account. There's no minimum balances on our accounts and no monthly fees. We also have financial resources through Brightstar University at bsu.org/brightstaru. And that's just some good links on there on financial literacy and ways that you guys can improve your money smarts. There's Balance Financial, which once you become a Brightstar member, you have access to this. It's free, anonymous financial advice over the phone. So definitely something that you could take advantage of once you become a Brightstar member. And our See You at School program, of course. We were doing a lot more in-school activities, but of course, due to COVID, everything is virtual. So we provide these videos like this, and we're doing some other virtual things for you guys to keep you financially educated as best we can. And for everything that we offer, you can visit us online at bscu.org. bscu.org. So how can you apply to be a Brightstar member? You can visit bsu.org/cuatschool, it's on the screen, to print off the membership application. When you print the application off, you can fill it out, and then it can either be dropped off at a branch at any one of our locations, which I'll put up next. It can be mailed to the branch, which on the application itself, there is a mailing address, or it can be emailed to me at the email address below. If you choose email, you can, like I said, fill it out, take a picture of it, and send it via email, along with, of course, a copy of your ID. If you are 16 and up, you can have a checking and a savings account. If you're under 16, you can have a savings account. And then once you turn 16, you can add a checking on. But you can feel free to email the application to my email there. And if you don't have a printer and can't get it printed out, you can go to any one of our branch locations with your parent or guardian and join there. They would love, our representatives would love to help you out with that. Our branch locations, putting them up here just so you can see if you do decide to go into a branch, which one would be the closest near you. And credit unions do what's called shared branching. So this means that you know, our locations are here, but you can bank with Brightstar still at a whole bunch of other credit union locations as well. And that'll be on our app. We have what's called the CU locator, where you can put in your zip code and our app will tell you the closest to whatever area you're in, the closest credit union that you can still go into and bank with Brightstar. So yes, we have our own locations, but credit unions like to share, and that is beneficial for you guys because it gives you more places to bank with us. Feel free to follow us on social media at BrightstarCU. We would love to have you on our social media and keep you in the loop with all things Brightstar. And I want to thank you guys for your time, and hopefully you got some good Money 101 tips from this video. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.